Happy Halloween, ghouls and ghosts. This is Reluge, and today I'm going to continue what I've been wanting to do for a while. My personal stories, the paranormal archives. Basically, it's just me retelling what happened in my life or investigating others. Like this year, I do plan on investigating a certain episode from a certain series that really took some backlash. But that's for a different episode. This time, I'm going to be talking about all of the paranormal hauntings that happened when I was a child. I've already mentioned some of it in a previous paranormal video, but it was only because of this pretty much sparked my paranormal not really interest because I was already interested in it. It was more of attention. Like I was starting to pay attention to little things going on and happening and whatnot. This is not in chronological order though, because I can't remember what happened, but pretty much this is the biggest and pretty much what started, like I said, what started everything. It was during the summer, so we were up pretty late, like past the usual bedtime. We were watching a movie. I can't remember which movie it was, but I do recall it was not a scary movie. I know it was not like any of the slasher movies, any haunted movie. It was sort of adult. Like it was not a cartoon. It was live action. It had adult themes in it, but I can't remember which movie it was. Oreo is trying to, or no, it's Shadow that's trying to ruin the mood. Come here, baby. You know I don't miss a chance to get you on camera. And I'm pointing out all these things because it's like whenever you listen to someone talking about their paranormal experiences, always take it with a grain of salt. Because it could be explainable. They could be lying, mistaken, the memory might be off. So it's like, always take it with a grain of salt. So, I was tired. And it was dark. My bedroom light was off. I stumbled into my room to go to bed. My bed is the top bunk. This is the door. This is the window. Over here is my bed. And the ladder going into the top bunk was facing the door. So I walk in. I'm standing at the doorway. I see on the ladder a shadow of a person going up the ladder. And it was weird because it wasn't like a fluid, it was more of like it was some sort of animation missing some keyframes. And of course it was a shadow. It wasn't like a person there. It was just a shadow of a person. I screamed and ran. I was so scared that something was in my bed. I was like, Dad, there's something in my bed. There's someone in my bed. And my dad's like, really? So he comes to the room and investigates my bed. Sees nothing there. So I explained that it looked like a shadow of a person climbing into my bed. So we tried to debunk it. Could have been shadows from outside coming in looking like a person climbing the bed because it was weird. It was like... But if you remember, this is the bed. This is the window. This here is the ladder. The window couldn't have shown light on this side of the bed. Because it was like all the way over here. It could have shown light on the wall, but I didn't see it on the wall. I saw it on the steps. And the hands were grabbing each rung as it was climbing into the bed. So that really scared me, and even though there was nothing in my bed, I was still worried. But at first I thought it was a real person. Then when my dad couldn't find anybody in the bed, I was afraid it was a ghost. Also, as a kid, I didn't know what ghosts could do to you. I was more afraid that the ghost was going to try to possess me or something. But then my father, a little later, I don't remember when, the shadow climbing the ladder came up again. And my dad was like, you know what? I don't mean to scare you, but one night as I was walking past your room, I looked in and I saw this head poking up out of the bed. So it's like, here's the railing. And what he saw was it wasn't like looking up like that. It was straight up and straight down.
It's the great pumpkin! He's rising up out of the pumpkin patch!
And he went to check on me, and I was asleep. And my head was at the opposite end, where my pillow usually is. He just put that off as, like, he thought he saw me, or I did go like that, and he was mistaken. But then, as we were talking, he realized he didn't see any features. It was a shadow. It was a black head poking up to look at him and going back down. So that scared me even more. As far as the shadow, that was the only time I saw it in my childhood home. And I forgot to mention, this is Pomeroy case. So, a lot of things have happened in that house. Now, I want to clarify, I have 5 different classifications. I think it was 5? Anyway, it's actual ghost haunting. Like, legitimate, there's a ghost there, interacting, and it's intelligent, like, it knows you're there, it can move stuff. There's a time lapse where you see an image of a person. It doesn't interact with you. In fact, it's acting like it's living its life. I feel that's more of like an image, like you're seeing into the past. Or it's just like something is in the area that's like playing it back to you, like a movie. And then there's the hallucinations, where it's all in your head. And you're seeing it and you can't make sense of it, so it's like, of course it's a ghost. And then there's mistaken identity. Mistaken identity or lying. I know it's like 2 different things, but it's almost... In fact, actually, the mistaken identity would be more of like in the hallucinations. Or I'll just do 6. I don't care. But mistaken identity is like, say you see a fly flying past you and you say like, whoa, what is that? I don't know what that is. It must have been a ghost or something. Or something along those lines. Or you misheard something, you thought it sounded like a person. Like, have you ever got that thing where it's like you hear your name being called but no one called it? That's weird. Almost everybody has experienced that. Anyway, but the 6th one is the actually most dangerous, and that's a demonic haunting. So, I feel that majority of what happened in the Pomeroy was either visions, like the past, like seen in the past, hallucinations, or just mistaken identity. So a quick list of all the possible like images. My mother kept experiencing like a stagecoach going past her window. That's like a horse drawn buggy, horse and carriage. Yeah, I can't think of what else. But she only saw it, she didn't hear it. And at one point I saw this little girl in the hallway. Now, this hallway was connected to some stairs that went into the basement. We didn't have a door there, but she was standing at the opening that went into the basement. And it looked like she had her hands on something and was looking around all like, looking like she was all anxious. And I want to say she had period clothing on, but I don't know. All I know is that she wore white. It was like a little white dress. And while she's looking out, she looks excited, like, like she saw something. And then she turned and ran towards me and past me. Now, at first I couldn't figure out, it's like, why didn't she just run that way if she was looking out a door? But it might have been a window she was looking out. Also, if I recall correctly, I think my mother had said that our childhood home was built from a garage at one point. I can't remember, but I do know that they bought the house from a friend of theirs. And then there was also cases where it's like we saw like a face in the window. And all of us experienced this, but I've debunked that afterwards because it was the tree outside, and like the moonlight shining through the branches. And if you were in the top bunk looking straight at the window, it would look like a face is sitting there trying to talk to you, like. And that's because of the branches moving in the wind. Oh. When I heard my younger brother, poor Adam, he was screaming, "There's a face in the window! There's a face in the window!" I just burst out laughing because I knew what he was talking about, and I told him it was the branches. He wouldn't believe me at first until my dad came in and told him the same thing. But anyway, another debunked thing. Occasionally, I'm laying in the bed, my face is facing away from the door, and I could hear footsteps like constantly. And I was afraid that there was like a parade of monsters just walking through the hallway. And if for some reason, if I looked, they would kill me. So I just didn't look. I didn't move. I just stayed where I was. Like, they don't know I'm here. They don't know I'm here. They don't know I'm here. But after a while, I realized the way I was laying, every time I heard the rhythmic footsteps, I was laying on my arm. Right on one of the major veins. Yeah, the rhythmic beats I was hearing was my heartbeat. My own heartbeat frightened me almost to death. Not really, no, that's just over-exaggeration. But it frightened me greatly as a child while I was trying to fall asleep. And I didn't want to move from that position because I was afraid these monsters, which was my heartbeat, would come and eat me. talk about a catch-22. It's like, well, if I would have moved, it was stopped. But I didn't want to move because I didn't want to die. So anyway, that basement, though, was pretty scary. Like, we would be playing, like, Seventh Guest. Here's the one hallway. Let's say this right here was where the computer desk was, and to our backs was the hallway that led to the basement. And Seventh Guest is a creepy game, which this whole scenario probably fed into why I love this game so much. But every time we play it, we swear there was like an entity of some form behind us watching us play. And we always got so terrified of like the basement from that. And it also didn't help that when my brother did his thing with the Ouija board, the two alleged ghosts said they lived in the basement. Now, let me describe the basement to you. This basement was like a pretty old, like, Michigan basement. It was furnished. Not furnished, but finished. It had, like, a floor and carpeting. But the walls weren't exactly well done. And also the windows were at fault for this too, but every time it rained, it leaked into the basement. So every time it rained, we had to go down, mop up the mess. We had a dehumidifier down there to, like, get all the moisture out of the air. But, my family was, in fact, a hoarding family. When we had too much stuff, we put it in a box, a cardboard box, mind you, and put it in the basement. Eventually, black mold started growing in the basement. Black mold is not a fun thing to mess with. We did not know that black mold was down there until we moved. And then after that, we researched it and found what it was. And it's like, that's what was on the walls. This could have been causing hallucinations. I am willing to accept everything that we experienced was because of the black mold, except the shadow. I say that because I've witnessed the shadow in other places. Didn't have the black mold. But also researching the area. Cork Street, which was right by where I lived, was the path that people used to exile the natives, like, further north. It's like, oh, we don't want you living here now, so go away. Go north. They'll like you in the north. And there's a spot on Westnedge where Cork connects to it that has this huge mound. When I was a kid, I thought that's where Noah's Ark was. But I soon found out that that was probably a burial mound. I'm not 100% on that, but it's possible. Especially since the particular exile, and I think it was the Navajo tribe? Or was it the Sioux? I cannot remember. But one of the tribes were known for burial mounds. And also this was around the time that the illnesses like the plague and whatnot that the settlers were bringing with them was affecting the natives. I couldn't find anything about those natives necessarily dying in huge numbers so that they'd have to make one huge mound as they're traveling, but I don't know. very possible. But another thing that could have been contributing, Pomeroy was right next to a woodland area. Nobody liked this spot. Nobody. We've went and explored it, but we didn't go far. And it wasn't because of no trespassing. It was because of the creepy feeling we had. Wow, I'm just creeping myself out talking about this. Oh, but there wasn't really anything necessarily like paranormal that we saw in that wooded area. But unbeknownst to us, there was a storage shed that was nearby that actually sort of owned the land, and eventually they started putting up fences around the woods. But at least up to the point where I moved, they haven't done anything to the woodland area. So it was definitely to keep people out of the woods, but for what reason, I don't know. They had the usual, barbed wired fence around their lot, but why they would put up the fence to keep people out of the woods is beyond me. I'm not sure. I know there's going to be, people that has, legitimate reasoning, and go ahead, put that in the comment section down below. I would like to know what you think. Well, of the entire Pomeroy case, that is. Also, I do want to note, we did do huge Halloween parties. We even dressed up the front yard as, a graveyard. And one time, a news van decided to use our street as a shortcut. Now, mind you, at this point, we didn't have, big Halloween stores like Spirit, where it's you just go and buy huge dramatic things there was some Halloween decorations, mind you, but we mainly bought those at Walmart/Meijer. And my dad would put together things like a mannequin head, one of those ones that's the mask stand. He would take that, cut the eyes out, cut the nose off, put lights in the eyes, and slather the whole thing with oatmeal of all things. And then he'd paint it, put a wig on it, make the wig all matted and dirty. He even put leaves in there, and it would look like a rotting head. And he would put it in the yard. He made tombstones out of styrofoam. He would cut it, engrave it, paint it gray, put it in the yard. Pretty much like the gravestones you would see nowadays in the stores. Yeah, they didn't have those back then. My dad made them. Not the ones in the store. He made our own. It definitely looked homemade, but it looked like the ones you can buy. You know what I mean. Although the ones in the store is a bit higher grade than what we had. So it's just, he made 95% of our graveyard set. So the news van drives by. It's normal yard, normal yard, normal yard, graveyard, normal yard, and they were just wait, hold on. What the? And they decided to do a random article, not article. I don't know what they call it with in the video, but they did a segment about our Halloween party, and they did stop right when we were doing our party too. So we were all dressed up. My friends, they had like their face makeup on. One of my friends that was lived on that street was like a witch. My brother was the Grim Reaper, and they were just like they just interviewed my parents, and they were talking about like how it's like this one house is just completely different from everything else. And I'm not saying this is what started people dressing up their yards, because some had like lights up. Of course, you had the jack-o'-lanterns. This was around the time where people started becoming more creative with their jack-o'-lanterns instead of just doing a normal face like grrr. It was just, you didn't normally see a yard being dressed up as if it was a graveyard. I'm also not saying we were the first ones. It's just you normally wouldn't see that, especially in my neighborhood / city. I should know, I went trick-or-treating a lot. It took a while for like people to start really going all out on Halloween. So that was a jumble of different things. Oh yeah, I did see a cryptid, but it probably wasn't. My memory on the cryptid was so fuzzy, but this was around the time that we were obsessed with X-Men. Like, the cartoon was out. And one of my favorite characters was Beast. So I was in the backyard playing when I heard, like, rustling in the neighbor's yard. Now, keep in mind, at this point we had, like, small wired fences separating the yards. So I thought it was, like, the neighbor's dog, which I don't remember if they had a dog or not. But I go over to see, and as a kid I described it as an outline, but now thinking back on it, it was more of a shimmer. Like, almost like a, someone's like invisible or cloaked, and you could see the sort of distortion. I think it was more like that. But it definitely looked like something hunched over. And it was small like a child. And when I noticed it, it ran. And at least like moved away, and I didn't see it ever since. But my child mind put it to, hey, maybe this is like Beast's offspring. I don't know. But it was weird. I'm willing to put that as a, for one, like a fuzzy memory. But I do know I saw something there as a child. I don't know. I can't explain it. Before I end the video, I completely forgotten to mention this little weird thing that happened. My older brother had taken the den as his bedroom. And I was a little jealous because I wanted that room for my bedroom. But I slept in there one night with a sleeping bag. And while I'm laying there, I look up at the ceiling, and I see this giant, I'm going to describe it as a cartoon spider, because when it looked at me, it had human eyes and a huge, like, toothly grin, and its anatomy was not correct. Like, it was the whole, like, two black circles with like 8 legs coming off of the back end, spaced evenly. But it like turned around and like jumped down on me with the sadistic grin on its face. I screamed, but then I pulled the covers over my face, and then I woke up in the morning. So I've heard about like hallucinations while you're in sleep paralysis, and it could also just simply have been just a dream because I woke up in the same position that I wound up in, and it was in the morning that I woke up. It was almost like simultaneously, like spider comes down on me, I scream, get underneath the covers, and then I wake up in the morning. So, don't know if that's exactly paranormal or just an hallucination, but that was scary as hell. So, that's the Pomeroy case. Um, there is a lot more, but it was just no, there is one other major event. I was a teenager. This was at the point where I was learning it's okay to be angry. I didn't want to be angry at the people I love because I love them. And being angry means you hate them, right? But I learned that I was probably very angry at them because I loved them. So, cleaning the house was a huge issue with us kids. So my parents were really cracking down on us taking care of our own dishes. So I'm sitting on the couch. I look over at the table and I see my brother's mug sitting on the table. And I'm just like, oh, why didn't you take care of your own mug? I don't want to get up and take care of your mug for you. It's your responsibility. And then all of a sudden it started levitating. Like, legit, I'm not kidding. It levitated. Yes, I was the only one that witnessed this. And I'm sitting there, seeing it levitate. I'm like, is this real? Am I hallucinating? Is this a dream? Am I making that levitate? Is it levitating on its own? Then all of a sudden it just went flying. And I got up and I caught it. So I'm standing there holding this cup and I'm like, did I just catch it? I'm just like thinking, it's like, did I actually witness levitating? I don't know if it's like, did I walk over, pick it up off the table and then be like, hey, wait, it just levitated? Or was it actually levitating and I got up and caught it? But then my hand-eye coordination isn't that good. So how could I catch it? Like in mid-air. From sitting on the couch. It was like 1-2 steps. And then catch. I really don't think I had the coordination in order to do that. But I swear I saw levitation, movement. So I brought the cup to my parents and told them what happened. At first, they were just like, "Oh, okay, whatever. You're just lying. You want attention. All right, whatever." 2 days later, I learned I was watching I believe it was the Sci-Fi Channel, and they had a thing that they were talking about kids that can move things with their minds. Now, yes, granted, majority of it was probably like fabricated, and they didn't show any kind of like movement or levitation on camera. But it was talking to a whole bunch of kids, and every single one of them, the common denominator was the fact that they were agitated or angry, like teen angst. And then while they're like fuming and they're like really upset, but they're keeping it in, a couple of them were actually was like yelling and things blew away. But it was like intense frustration and telekinesis. Frustration, telekinesis. So I was like, did I move that cup with my mind? if that's the case, the reason why I caught it is when I stood up to go and catch it, I thought, cup in hand. I don't know. It's just that instance was really, really weird, and I'm not really looking for answers because it's more of a meh. And ever since then, I haven't moved anything with my mind. So, or witnessed something levitating. In front of me, that is. I've had things thrown at me with no reason, no ability for it to be thrown at me. Especially when certain things were seen in front of me at the time and they come flying from behind. I don't know. Anyway, that's for a different video. So just let me know what you think. I am open to suggestions, thoughts, and theories. Like I said, I don't want to take any paranormal thing that's happened to me as like, oh, this is definitely paranormal 100%. Because I could have been hallucinating the whole time. So, especially with the black mold in my basement. Anyway, so click on whichever thumb you think is appropriate for this video. Go ahead and spread this around to other people that you think might either enjoy my stories or have an idea of what's going on or something. It does not matter to me. Subscribe if you'd like to hear more of my ramblings. Or maybe video games is more of your taste. Or maybe reviews. Maybe something else that I've done on my channel before that I can't think of right now. Go ahead, explore my channel, find something enjoyable. I have plenty of content. And a Discord, link in the description. And until next time, stay light and nerdy.